Hi, good evening, class. So this is your quiz on last week, no? So we have here the problems 1, 2, 3. So that is only 3 questions, and there are 15 questions, 15 points from this quiz, and passing scores again is 7. So we will discuss now. I will discuss now the answer, the solution for this problem. Okay, now first thing you need to do is to look for the question first, no? Yun po ang magiging tip ko sa inyo, is to look for the question. Unahin nyo muna yung tanong bago yung problem. Now, the question is, how much is the total expense? We know that when we are computing for total income tax expense, it only includes the income tax due and the income tax and the final withholding tax and the CGT also, kung meron tayong binigay dito, kasi meron tayong ditong CGT, no? This is also added, the capital gain tax, since we are only looking for the income tax expense. Now let's try to solve the problem. First is to look for the net income. So we have here 2,800,000. Next is we need to deduct the cost of sales because ito yung unang bilan niya, no? So kung ito yung, for example, may lollipop ka, binili mo sa tindahan 5 pesos, binenta mo siya ng 10 pesos. Yung selling price nun, that is the assume mo yun ang sales mo, that is the total sales, yung 10 pesos na yon. And 5 pesos, yung original na bili mo, that is the cost of sales. Okay? Pag minus mo yun, that is the gross profit. Okay? So, if we deduct 1,125,000, we will get the amount of 2,800,000 minus 1,125. That is equal to 1,675,000. Tama. Now, this is called the gross profit. Wala pa tayong dinededuct na expenses. If we deduct the expenses, we will arrive for the net income. So, we need to deduct the business expense. So, that is equal to, how much is our business expense? 650,000. Okay. If we deduct 650,000 from here, we will get the net income. 1,675 minus 650,000. We will get 1,025,000. So this will be our net income. Now, we will try to solve for the income tax due. Kasi, ito is subject for, tingnan muna natin, no? Gain on sale of foreign corps is also a other income, no? Why? This is subject to FWT sana. FWT sana to, final withholding tax, kaso foreign, no? Kaso foreign, kaso foreign, kaya it will include these two other income or part of the net income. So, this will be basic tax. Alright? Kasi foreign ba? Okay, erase natin ito, no? Para makita nyo. Okay, so this is added on the other income of 50,000. So we need to add the 50,000 pesos as the other income, which is subject also to final withholding tax. So we get the amount of 1,075 million. 1,075,000. So this is our taxable income na ba? Okay, this is our taxable income. Now we are looking for the income tax due. To look for the income tax due, we need to find the table. Again, ano yung table natin? It start with 0 to 250,000, 250,000 to 400,000, 400,000 to 800,000, 800,000 to 2 million, and 2 million to 8 million, and over 8 million. Now, what are the percentage per category? We have exempt, 15%, 20%, 25%, 30%, and 35%. Now, how much do we add? It starts with the 20% plus 22,500. Sa 25%, we have 102,500. Sa 30%, we have 402,500. And for the 35%, we have the 2,202,500. So, I hope na memorize nyo yun, no? Kasi madali lang naman talaga siya i-memorize. So, that is 1,075,000. Saan siya pasok? Pasok po siya sa 800 to 2 million. So, we need to deduct 800,000 as we are computing for the excess. So, 1,075,000 minus 800,000, we get 275,000. Now, this is the 275,000 is the excess. So, we need to multiply this by saan papasok yung na category? That is 800 to 2 million. We know that 2 million to 8 million, that is 30%. So, we need to multiply this to 25%. Okay, so what we get here is 0.25. We get the amount of 68,750. Then we need to add the additional tax of 102,500, diba? So 20% nag-start, 22,500, 102,500. So we need to add 102,500. So plus 102,500, that is equal to 171,250. This is what we call the income tax due. Okay. Now, if meron yung CWT, magkaiba po yung creditable withholding tax sa capital gain tax. Pag creditable withholding tax, that is deducted to income tax due. But here, we have no problem naman na sinabi na mayroon tayong CWT. Wala naman, di ba? We have sale, cost of sale, business expense, interest, gain. Wala naman sinabing CWT. Magkaiba po yung CWT sa CGT. Okay? So, there are no... So, this is our income tax payable na. Now, 17,250. Na po ang tawag na income tax payable. Now, is this what ito ba yung hinahanap ng questions? Hindi po, no? Kung hindi ito ang hinahanap ng questions, we need to add something here. What are those? So, we have the interest income from peso bank deposit. So, this is subject to FWT. Ilang percent? That is 20%. Diba resident siya, no? Binanggit naman na resident citizen. Now, how about interest income from under FCDS? Now, pag under FCDS, only the resident citizen and resident alien are subject to 15% tax. Hindi pwede yung nasa labas ng Pilipinas. So, FWT, 15%. Now, how about the gain on sale of shares of domestic corp not listed? Diba sinabi ko sa inyo, pag not listed, non-listed or not listed, this is not listed from the stock exchange. Then, binanggit din na domestic corp siya. So, saan sa subject? CGT. So, subject siya sa capital gain tax. Ilang percent? That is 15% on the capital gain. Now, how about listed naman? Pag listed po, this is stock transaction tax. Naalala yung diagram na ginawa natin. Kapag nakalisted, that is subject to stock transaction tax na 6%. Okay, that is 6%. Okay. Now, on the gain on sale of land held as capital asset with cost of 1.5 M, when the zonal value is 1.2 and 500,000. This is the gain, no? 500,000. Remember what I've told you, kapag gain on, kapag sale of real property, di ba? Sale of real property, dapat kailangan capital asset, di ba? And located in the Philippines. Kapag nasa abroad, that is subject to basic tax. Now, what we're trying to do here is that we need to compare the selling price versus the fair market value or the zonal value. Kung alin doon ang pinakamataas. Now, given ba yung selling price? Yes po, no. Kasi yung capital, no, held as capital asset, meron tayong cost dito na 1.5. Ilan yung gain natin? 500,000. Again, kwento ko ulit yung lollipop. Binili mo ng 5 pesos. So that is the purchase, that is the cost. Binenta mo ng 10 pesos, that is the selling price, that is the sales, gross sales. Now here, this is the cost, 1.5. Pag inad mo yung income na 500,000, that is the selling price. Binaliktad lang, di ba? Again, 10 minus 5 is 5. That is the income. 5 plus 5, that is 10. 10 is the selling price. Now, makukuha natin yung selling price by adding this to 500,000 plus 500,000, that is equal to 2 million pesos. Okay? It's 2 million pesos. Now, let's find the when the zonal now let's compare the zonal value. The zonal value, wala naman tayong fair market value, di ba? Yung fair market value natin is not given. So the zonal value is 1.2 M. Again, ano lang gagawin natin? Iko-compare lang po, no? Iko-compare lang natin alin yung mas mataas. Ito yung mas mataas na 2 million. 2 million pesos. So, itong 2 million na to, ang gagamitin natin para i-multiply siya sa 6%, which is already given, no? 'Di ba? Sa batas, that is 6%. 6% ang kailangan nating i-multiply when we are trying to sell our capital asset, the real property. So, 2 million, it times 6%, we get the amount of 120,000. Okay? Now, next is, we need to multiply this one para makompute na natin yung FWT. 80,000 times 20%, we get 16,000. Next is, we have 120,000. We get 15% times 120,000. That is 18,000. 18,000 pesos. As for CGT, we need to multiply 0.15 times 150,000. We get 22,500. Okay? Wait na natin now. 150,000 times 0.15, we get the amount of 22,500. For CGT, nakuha na natin. So, 120,000. Kaya anong tanong sa number 1? Income tax expense. So, we need to add the FWT. Ilan yung FWT natin? So, we have 16,000. Add natin. Plus, we have here 18,000. plus, wala to. This is CGT and this is also CGT. So, dalawa lang FW natin. So, ilan yung total FWT natin? That is 16,000 plus 18,000. We get 34,000. Next, how about the CGT? The capital gain tax is computed here, 22,500. So, we need to copy this one for CGT. And also, we need to add the another tax. This is not income tax, no. This is called business tax, no. Okay. Pag ang tanong total tax expense, i-add natin yan. Pero ang tanong dito, total income tax expense. Income tax expense. Kasi yun nga, di ba? Income taxation tayo. So, 22,500. Pero pag ang tanong total tax expense, i-add natin yun, no? O i-add din natin yung 3% tapos yung 12% VAT. Pero dito hindi natin i-add kasi yung tanong, income tax expense. So, 22,500 plus 120,000. So, we get the amount of 22,500 plus 120,000. We get the amount of 142,500. Right? 500. Sorry. 142,500. Okay. So, we have now, okay, para hindi kayo malito, hindi yan ina-add. Ito yung ina-add natin na income tax due. Now, we are looking for, number 1, the total income tax expense. Now, if we add these three, 171,250 plus 34,000 plus 142,500, we get the amount of 347,700, sorry, 750. 347,750, 171,250 plus 34,000 plus 147,500. So, get amount of 347,250. Tama ba yung sagot natin? Tama po. So, we have correct. Ay, sorry. Ito yung sagot natin for number 1. Next, number 2. What is the total income tax assuming na she opted to be taxed at 8%? Okay. When we are trying to look for the 8%, diba? Titingnan natin yung sales niya if umabot ba ng 3 million. More than 3 million. So, kung less than or equal to 3 million, pwede siyang mag 8%. Okay, pumasok naman, no? 2,800,000. Pumasok naman. So, we need to add 1,000. Tapos, minus 2,000 times mo sa 0.08. 208 plus mo sa 34,000 plus 142,500. 84 ba yung sagot? Try natin. Kung tama sagot na. Okay. We just need to double check na. So, again, when we are trying to look for the 8%, titingnan muna natin yung sales kung lumagpas ba sa 3 million. Hindi naman siya lumagpas. So, we need to add this. Then, meron pa tayong other income na 52,000. So, we need to add this 50,000. So, what we get here is 2,800,000 plus 50,000. Okay, that is 2,850,000. Okay. Now, ano yung dapat nating sunod na gagawin? We need to deduct by 250 Bakit? 'Di ba sabi ko sa inyo, in lieu kapalit ng business or yung VAT and kapalit ng graduated table. So we need to deduct 250,000. We get the amount of 2,600,000. This is what we call the taxable income. Now, ano ang kailangan nating i-multiply dito? Again, she opted to be taxed at 8%. I-multiply mo lang by 8%, we get the income tax due of 208,000 income tax due. Okay, ano yung tanong? Total income tax ulit, or the total income tax expense. So we need to add these two again. The FWT we get earlier, so we need to add this plus 142. So what we get, the amount is 34,000 plus 142,500. We get the amount of 176,500. Okay, 34,000 plus 176,500 down. Then we need to add these two kasi ang hinahanap yung total na kailangan nating ibayaran. So this is FWT plus CGB. So that is plus 208,000. So we get the amount of 384,500. So this is our answer for number 2. For number 1, we have here. Gets nuggets 1.3. Now, sabi dito, imagine mo daw, using the same data, except that her gross sales for the year was 3,800,000. We need to compute how much is her total income tax expense if she opted to be taxed at 8%. Okay, ang tanong lang naman dito, ilan ulit yung total income tax expense? Pwede ba natin siyang mag 8%? Of course, hindi, no, kasi more than 3,800,000. So, ano yung gagawin natin dito? 3,800,000, that is the sales. So, assume natin na ito yung sales. Then, we need to add the other income of 50,000, right? We need to add 50,000. So, we need to get the amount of 3,850,000. Now, this is the answer for what we call the total sales, all the total income. Now, hindi pa ito yung sagot ng total income tax expense. Next is, we cannot minus this to 250,000 kasi hindi naman siya pwede mag 8%, and we cannot multiply this by 8%. So, we need to deduct again the business expense and the cost of sales. So, minus ulit natin yung cost of sales na 1,125,000. The cost of sales is here. No? So, copy mo yan. Same lang makuha mo. And then, we need to deduct the expense na 50,000. So, what we will arrive here is minus 1,125,000 minus 650,000. Get the amount of 2,075,000. This is now the amount for the net income. Okay, now we will try to compute for the income tax due. Saan ba pasok tong 2,075,000? Pasok po ito sa 2 million to 8 million. So we need to deduct the 2M sa graduated table minus 2 million. Get the amount of 75,000 and we need to multiply by 30% times 0.30. We get the amount of 22,500. Then we need to add the 402,500 plus 402,500. Get the amount of 425,000 pesos. This is the income tax due. Now we need to add the what we compute here earlier, the 176,500 and so kung i-add mo tong dalawa, what we get the amount is 425,000 plus 176,500, 601,500. Tama ba yung sagot natin? Okay, tama no. 601,500. Diba? Madali lang. Ito yung sagot natin for number 3. Now, true or false? Pinakamasayang tanungan. Resident citizen are taxable globally. What do we mean by globally? That is within and within and without. So what our answer is 2. Okay. Test 2. Madali lang tong test 2, no? Okay, kulayan lang natin yung sagot natin. So yung sagot natin ay ito. So our answer for number 2 is, again, basahin mo na yung tanong. How much is the taxable net income? Assuming he is a resident citizen. Pag resident citizen, kasama to, ito, Canada, Philippines, within and without. So we just need to, pinakamadali lang to. But may nagkamali pa dito, di ba? 3,850,000 minus, plus 1,650 million minus 2M minus 725,000. So our answer here is 2,775,000. Okay, bakit? Dali lang, no? Add mo lang to, add mo to, i-deduct mo to, no? I-deduct mo to, minus mo to, kasi expense yan, di ba? Oh, expense yan. Okay, so minus mo to, okay? We will get the answer of 2,075,000. How about non-resident citizen? Non-resident citizen is only subject within the Philippines. So, within lang, tanggalin natin to. Tanggalin din natin to. So, 3,850,000 minus 2M. So, what we get the amount of 1,850,000. 1,050,000. Di ba madali lang? Hindi mo lang papansinin yung kabila, itong dalawa, interest bank deposit and closely held, kasi subject yan sa FWT. So, FWT to, di ba? So, resident alien within din. So, pag ang within, ito din lang naman yung sagot, di ba? Ito lang din naman yung sagot. And also, engage, no? Baka may nalito dito sa inyo. So, this is engage. So, same lang within. Now, next, number 2.2. How much is the income tax due for Mr. Pogi in 2024, assuming he is a resident citizen? Now, how do we compute for the income tax due? Sa tax table lang yan, 2775. M, saan siya below? That is under 2 million to 8 million. Tama. So, minus 2M. But we get the amount of 775,000. Then we need to multiply by 30%. Multiply by 30%, we get the amount of 232,500. Okay, 232,500. Then we need to, what do we need here? Okay, we need to add. Sorry, we need to add the 402,500. So that's 402,500. We get the amount of 635,000. Now, tingnan natin. So, this is the income tax due. Okay, tama na. Tanong kasi income tax due. Medyo pumasok sa isip ko yung tax expense. So, income tax due. So, this is the income tax due. We are looking for the graduated table. Now, how about non-resident alien? Engage in trade. Now, engage in trade ito. Ito yung gagamitin natin. Now, 1,850. 1,850. Now, we need to deduct here the anong amount itong i-deduct natin. Deduct natin sa 2M to ano? No, 800,000. Antok ng si sir. Pagod na. 1,850,000 minus 800,000. So that is 1,050,000. Now this is the answer for taxable. Oh no, this is the we only deduct by 800,000. Natok na. 1,050,000 times lang natin sa 25%. Okay, tama na. Times 0.25. We get the amount of 262,500. Now, we need to add the additional tax of 102,500. We get the amount of 365,000. Am I right? Am I left? Am I right? Right? Look to the left. Look to the right. Sir, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Kaliwa sa kanan. Kaliwa sa right. Okay, next we have non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. Now, ano yung tax base natin dito? Our tax base is the gross sales. Now, the gross sales here is what we have within only. So, that is 3,850,000. Then, we need to ano ba ang tanong dito? So, number 3. Anong tinatanong? Income tax due. Okay, 3,850,000 times natin sa 25%. 3,850,000. Ano mga ano? 50. Kasi gross sales times 0.25. Okay, tama. So, we need to add here the 50,000 pesos because this is also subject to 25%. So, we need to add 50,000 here. Asan na yan? Okay, that is 3,850,000. Then, add mo yung 50,000 because this is also subject to 25% FWT. So, what we get here is 4 million. Tama? 4M. Then, we need to multiply by 25%. We get the amount of 975,000. Boom. Panis. Kaliwa sa kanan, kaliwa sa right. Kaliwa sa kanan, kaliwa sa right. Yun, 975,000. 365,635,000. Okay, tama ba sagot natin? Check natin yung answer sheet natin. 635, 265, 975. Very good. Very good. Number 3. We need to compute for the taxable net income if he is a non-resident citizen. So, copy mo lang agad yan. So, ang sagot natin here is this is a non-resident citizen. So, we need to underline. Ano pa yan? So, saan ba siya taxable? Within only. Okay. We can compute now for the taxable net income. Taxable net income is only, we are looking for the under tax table. So, that is within only. So, include lang natin to. Yan. And ito, i-deduct natin to get for the net income. And this is the other income for Philippines. Included natin. Dividend income from domestic corp is subject to FWT. Ilang percent? 20%. Resident foreign corp. Since foreign siya, this is subject to FWT din. Pero foreign siya, so within. So we need to add this as this is a basic tax. Basic tax. How about interest income from peso bank deposit? This is FWT 20%. Again, this should be 10%, no, but we are within. I know they are non-resident citizen, so we need to multiply by 20%. If I am right, no, tingnan lang natin kung tama tayo. How about interest income from bank deposit abroad? That is 20%. FWT. Abroad nga ni. So, abroad siya. So, that is basic tax. Pero nasa abroad, hindi within. So, exclude natin. Di within non-resident tayo. Kung resident citizen sana, include natin ito. How about interest income from FCDS? Okay, this is a special case. Diba anong sinabi ko kanina? Kapag resident citizen and resident alien, doon lang po pwede mag 15%. But since this is, we are the taxpayer, and the taxpayer is non-resident citizen, this is exempt. Exempt from FWT. Royalty income from books, absolutely 10%. Anong tatandaan lang natin? Sumakit ang tiyan, that is LBM. How about raffle draw prizes? Less than or equal to 10,000 is subject to basic tax. Right? So, within, kasama natin to. How about PCSO winnings? That is more than 10,000 pa rin. Sayang kung below 10,000 that is exempt. But since this is more than 10,100, we'll need to multiply by 20%. FWT. Next, creditable. This is deduction. Deduction to income tax due. Okay. Let's try to solve the problem. First is taxable net income. We get 2 million. We need to deduct the 700,000. And we need to add 600. Dineduct mo yan. Ay, tuloy-tuloy na lang natin. Deduct 700,000 kasi kukunin natin yung net income. Then plus mo yung other income, 600,000. Then, basic tax. Ito, dividend foreign abroad. So, we need to add 40,000 pesos. And since we add the 40,000 pesos, we need to add also here sana, kaso non-resident tayo. Ito hindi. Ito hindi. Ito pwede. Pwede to. So that is 10,000. Add natin to. That's 10,000. And wala na ba? PCSO winnings. Wala. 10 FWT. Deduction to sa income tax due. So that is, if we compute 2M minus 700,000 plus 600,000 plus 40,000 plus 10,000, get the amount of 195 1,900,000 1,000,000 nga ni 1,950,000. Tama ba ang sagot natin? 1 million. Very good. Like, very good talaga. So 1,950,000. Very good, man. Now, how much is our income tax payable? When we are trying to look for the income tax payable, that is income tax due minus CWT equal to income tax payable. So we have now the formula. So 1,950,000 is under the 800,000 to 2 million. So we need to deduct the 800k. We get the excess of 1,150,000, and then we need to multiply by 25% times 0.25 to get the amount of 287,500. Now we get the 287,500. We need to add the additional tax of 102,500. Tama? 102 ba to? Tama na. Kasi 22,500, 102,500, 402,500, and 202,500. So we need to add here the plus 102,500. We get the amount of 390,000 as the income tax due. Now let's try to compute for the income tax payable. We need to deduct CWT. Ang CWT natin sa baba ay 100,000. So we need to copy this one, the CWT. So we get the income tax payable of 290,000. So this is our answer, 290,000. How about total final taxes and passive income? Buti na lang, inano natin to, no? So, ilang percentage na lang? 50,000 times 0.20. I get 10,000 pesos. Now, how about FWT nito? 20,000 times 0.20. Get 4,000 pesos. Now, how about here? This is 25,000 times 10%. We get 2,500. How about here? 10,100 times 20%. We get amount of 220 pesos. Bleh, bleh, bleh. Copy na natin lahat ng FWT na pinagmumultiply natin. So here 10,000 Then we need to add FWT 4,000. 4,000 plus FWT pa 25. 25. Meron pa tayong isang FWT na kinompute sa baba. 2020. Sa 20. So what we get the amount of 2020 plus 2,500. 4,000 plus 10,000. Get the amount of 18,520. So this is the total final tax of 18,520 for the total final passive tax. Now, how do we compute for total income tax expense? That is the income tax due here. Now, income tax due plus FWT. Kaso wala naman tayong CGT dito. No? So, just need to add this one, 390,000 plus 18,000. So what we get is plus 390,000. We get the amount of 408,520. Tama ang sagot natin. Very good talaga. Look to the left, to the right. Sir, yes sir. Ayun na. So, good luck sa exam nyo. And tandaan nyo lang, ang taxation is not about memorizing. It's about understanding the concept behind. Pag naintindihan mo na yung concept, then you need to apply. Pag na-apply mo na, practice and practice and practice. Kasi we believe in the theory of the learning curve. The more you practice, the lesser time you need. And that is the learning curve. Okay, good luck sa exam nyo and I hope nakatulong ako dito sa video na to. Thank you for listening. Subscribe naman kayo dyan. Joke lang. Okay. Bye-bye.